So, what have you been up to, Matt?
Well, I've started the workshop. I think I mentioned that last time. Then I had to go away for the funeral and stuff, so I've not been back long. But the walls are up, the roof's on, external cladding's on, and yesterday I fitted the door, which I just had a big smile on my face after that, because then it's like, that's it, it's a usable room now.
It's watertight.
It's watertight, I could keep things in it. Some insulation got delivered this morning, and I've decided, well, it's stupid to move things in and then try and board the ceiling around all your tools and things. I'm spending the money either way, it's just delaying it for a few months, and I'm just going to continue, and I think maybe next time we record, I will be moving tools in there.
That's cool. I was going to ask what you opted for with the door construction.
Yeah, so what I've done is made a frame out of some 4x2s, then I've bought some 12mm exterior sheathing ply, and as you were saying, you don't want the edges exposed, and actually the manufacturer says that as well. So I've routed out a 12mm rebate in the frame, dropped the ply into that, which covers the edges but also makes the whole thing really rigid. I mean, it can't drop or anything because there's recessed ply. Then I've cut some strips. I was going to buy some plain all round kind of strips and add like a frame around the door and some vertical strips to kind of match the cladding. And he was like, oh, £40 for a pack of 10 strips. And then I like, oh, I can probably just rip all the strips out of one 4x2 that costs £7. And it's amazing that actually having tools saves you money, doesn't it?
Absolutely, yeah.
But I hadn't thought of doing that because I was just trying to make things easy. But that's quite a big saving. So I ripped some strips, put them on. I just fitted a multi-lock yesterday. And so, yeah, no, I'm really pleased with how it looks.
It's funny because last time we talked about kind of how does plywood do outside and stuff like that. And I realised just after we recorded that podcast that my brother built a shed using plywood in I think he said it was 2015, because I was speaking to him last night about it, asking him some questions because I wanted to mention it to you today. He basically bought loads of plywood from a warehouse that was shutting down. The plywood's only 6mm, so it's really thin, but it had battens on it. So the plywood's kind of been painted a light colour, and then he's added his own black trim around the edges to cover the gaps and stuff. And I asked him about it last night. I was like, so you built it in 2015 and there's no delamination or anything? He said, no, it's all perfect. It's like, really? And it's like 6mm, so it's really thin and flimsy. Yeah. But yeah, he sent me some photos as well. So what I'll do is I'll put them in the video on YouTube now if anyone wants to see that. One of the photos is him standing on the roof after he's just finished building it. And I think he's got a finished picture of it as well. So I'll put them in the video now. So if anyone wants to check that out, go and have a look at the YouTube version. But yeah, that's 8 years. So that's pretty impressive, I think.
Yeah, but it's weird. We all use feather edge cladding and things because you think that's what you got to use. But every building site, you see plywood sheathing around it. So it's just exterior grade, but they always put battens on to cover up any... Yeah. I guess they put a capping piece over the top, so there's no exposed edges. It's the cheapest option, but I like the look of it.
Cool.
The good thing about the door, if there's ever a problem, it's really easy to, if you have to change a door, you can fix it. But I don't think there's going to be any problems whatsoever. So you've been doing DIY, I see, in your videos.
Yeah, bit of a move towards DIY for the last 3 videos. Yeah, and then I've just got the damp-proof course issue around the room to fix, which I made a start on 2 days ago, but it's proven to be a bit of a problematic job, more so than I expected. And I hate anything digging related, anything, groundwork, real hard graft. You might have noticed on the WhatsApp group, we've got a WhatsApp group with a bunch of different YouTube creators, and I was very active on that all day yesterday, just because any distraction I could find from digging, I was like desperate to, get away from it. Those decking support things you used on your workshop base looked interesting. So I'm guessing they're like breathable because they looked almost like a kind of mesh or something.
So if you ever go to a child's playground and it looks like it's black tarmac on the ground, but you tread on it and it's really spongy.
The bouncy stuff, yeah.
The bouncy
Yeah.
stuff, it's that.
Right.
So it's really dense rubber. So because it's only 10 mil thick, you kind of tread on it and there's no give whatsoever. But they're so cheap. But it just, obviously, it provides a damp-proof course, separation from the thing, and a bit of, if there's any kind of 1 mil out on levelling, then that will kind of take that up.
Yeah.
Yeah, they seemed a really cheap option because I used the plastic decking supports on the last workshop, but that was quite expensive. I mean, not as expensive as like doing a concrete base.
How did you come across them? Because you always seem to find these things, and I'm like, I've never seen those before. Where are you finding these things?
I wanted to buy some plastic decking supports, so just Googled them, and then these came up and like, oh, instead of £100, I can get away with spending £20, and actually worked out well. I hadn't really thought about putting it on the concrete slabs, and then I realised I had a pile of them, like, oh, airflow's good, let the water not pool under it or anything. And if I had to level that ground, it would have added £500 to the build, and so I've got a smaller workshop than originally planned, but saving so much money.
And obviously you've also got space to add on to it in future if you ever want to.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to build a second thing. A lot of people will say you should just build a big one in the first place, but I hate having all my garden tools and tins of paint in my workshop. I don't want them in there. I'd rather have two spaces.
And also I think there's really logical things that are easy to separate from your workspace, such as storage of wood. Because why would you want all of your wood collection cluttering up a workspace where if you've got space elsewhere to put that?
Yeah, I always find some sneaks into the workshop anyway, as in you finish a project and you put that bit under a bench. Or are you really good? Do you clear all the wood out every week?
No.
So I've really got bits from a lot of places, which for convenience is a pain, but the savings are huge. I've just got 2 sheets, and I think I asked you this time, what they called the insulation boards?
PIR?
PIR, yeah. Wicks and Travis Perkins are around 50 quid a sheet for 50 mil. Get them for about £21 a sheet from someone else.
Nice.
But I've had to pay £50 delivery. But even with the sheets and the rock wall I'm getting, it's probably over £100 cheaper.
Yeah.
Even with the delivery. I used Materials Market, I think, when I was doing my mum's for the installation. And I've used them again. Unfortunately, because I had some bits already, I think it's free delivery over £350 or something. But I just couldn't make up an order. And it's easy when you're buying from Screwfix or Toolstation to make up an order to get free delivery. You just add an extra box of screws on or something. But I don't want an extra 2 bundles of insulation.
Is everything actually priced on the website as well?
Everything's priced.
See, that's half the battle nowadays.
That's half the battle. And they give you a calendar and you click on the delivery date you want.
Awesome. So last week I spent most of the week messing around with a new table saw. Have I told you about this?
No. Well, you have kind of told me you've been talking to a company, and then I jokingly saw the box and said, have you got me a new table saw? And never for a second thought you'd have got it and not told me. Yeah, go on, tell me all about it.
Oh man, I've been making the most thorough video on it for some reason. I think because I had it in my mind that I wanted to know so much about this particular machine, and I thought there must be people out there that are thinking the same. So I thought I'm really going to go in depth in this. So I spent probably the best part of a day just setting it up and fiddling around with things and filming certain bits. And this video, I'm almost finished it now. I've just got to literally shoot an outro, but it's about 25 minutes long. And I'm thinking, is anyone actually going to watch a 25-minute review on a table saw? I mean, I don't know how interested people are in stuff like that. You know, if I watch a review like that, I want to see everything.
Well, I think it's strange that I watch reviews of table saws, for like 6 hours a day, obviously. And they don't cover the things I want to be covered, like how noisy they are. So I hope you've done that.
Absolutely.
I knew you would have. But they talk about things and dust collection and stuff. Lots of other people talk about say capacity, rip capacity, and like, well, that's just the spec on the website. I never mention those things because
you can just look it up.
You can just look that up. It's all the kind of things they don't mention I want to know.
That's good then. At least you'll watch it.
I definitely watch it.
When I took delivery of it, I had no intention of keeping it whatsoever. But after spending so much time with it, the trouble is I won't go into detail because I don't want to ruin the video, but there is one fundamental flaw with it, and I don't know how I feel about that at the moment. And I've even done a part of the video where I've compared all of the advantages of my current cabinet saw versus this saw, and it's so close that I genuinely still haven't made a decision as to what I'm going to do. I can't keep them both, obviously, and I really should have thought about this before I took delivery of it and arranged for it to come, but glad I took it because it's been really interesting, and I think I've made a good video out of it. I just hope someone watches it.
Well, I think you need to do a Frank Howarth dueling table saw setup.
That would be cool.
And it makes sense a lot, because if you've got to have a table as an outfeed table, why not have another table saw as the outfeed table?
Yeah, but he has one set up with a dado stack, doesn't he? And the other set up with a... And I don't really have any need for a dado stack. And also, one of the features of this saw is that things like changing blades is so easy that you almost don't need two table saws to do it.
Dado stacks look like they're such a pain to change. I can see why you want a dedicated saw just for that.
Yeah, I really don't see the appeal of them, to be honest. I never have done. I just... it's such a faff setting them up. I mean, one of the things about this saw as well is that it's got a 5/8 inch arbor, which is problematic in terms of finding blades that fit, let alone dado stacks, I would imagine. I don't know, maybe it's more common in the US, I'm not sure. But
when I used to use old table saws, I used to get reducing bushes.
Yeah, that's what I did actually. It comes supplied with a blade, but I thought, well, if I want to do a meaningful comparison with what I'm familiar with already, I want to use the blades that I'm familiar with. So yeah, I got some of those reduction rings to fit to one of my Freud blades.
Yeah, that'd be really interesting, especially comparing those two machines. I imagine the one you've got already is a bit more expensive.
Yeah.
Axminster are a big brand. You've had to deal with them on support issues, and at least there is some support there.
Yes.
You might not be perfect, but...
I don't know. I mean, everything I've not had loads of experience with Axminster support over the years, but I have dealt with them on 2 or 3 occasions, and they've always been really good. And everything I read in woodworking forums and places like that all suggest that they're really good. They stand by their products, and also they stock parts and components. Even though my saw has been discontinued, I should imagine anything that I need to source for it, they would still be able to supply, because obviously the saw is still made. It's just rebadged, for SIP or iTech.
I've had to deal with them, I think, twice. Once they knew who I was, so I don't think that's ever a fair test. But once was just as a member of the public, and they sorted the thing. It was actually my Mercer sander. Oh, yeah. I sent it off to them, and they sent it off for repair. Cool. But it all went through Axminster rather than dealing with Mercer, which was great. I mean, they just looked at, I can see your purchase online on this date, and yeah, it was really easy, actually. And then you sold it after that, didn't you, the Mercer? Yeah. I don't regret it. I mean... Just didn't trust it, kind of thing. I didn't trust it, and I never loved it. All these reviews saying how amazing it is, I was like, oh, it's just a sander. It has a disc that spins. Really? See, yeah. I feel completely different about it. I mean, I don't trust it either, to be fair. I've done refinishing jobs where I've taken that sander with me and I've brought it back up because I feel that uneasy about whether it's actually going to last or not. Having said that, I got a new one, I think it was last year, sort of early last year, and I purely only bought a new one because I went down to one of their events that I was invited to, and they basically offered us a really good discount. Yeah. And I thought, well, mine's now out of warranty, so I could sell that on eBay, use the money to buy a brand new one, and I haven't really lost anything. Yeah. And I've got a new warranty to last me another 3 years. But I can tell with the new model that they've actually made improvements to it. They've made tweaks to certain little things that
had problems with in the past. I think one of them being the power cable was really difficult to pull out.
Yeah.
And also, I think they've made improvements in terms of reliability as well. I think I've read something along those lines. I don't know. Don't take my word for it. Yeah, obviously, if you're not happy with the sander anyway, then it's not really for you. But I love the way they work and how light they are and how low profile they are and how quick they sand as well.
I didn't notice a huge improvement over the one I'd been using, and that was the cheap Makita one, the red Makita one that was like 45 quid.
A lot of people rave about those.
Yeah, I forgot. I think it's actually the guy you like. Well, I like him too, but you've spoken to him a bit. That has the kind of ramshackled workshop, professional carpenter. I've forgotten his name. Gid Joyner.
Oh, Gid, yeah.
I think it might be wrong that he had 2 or 3 of them.
Yeah.
And would just have different grits on each one, so you're not continuously ripping.
Yeah.
Because that's what wears the Velcro out, or hook and loop, I suppose, is they're constantly taking the things off. So they're so cheap. Why not just have an 80, a 120, and a 241? And that's a good idea.
It's a bit like Peter with his a router that always has a roundover fitted, and so that you can just grab it and use it. Yeah, yeah. Do you still have that Makita?
No, I just sold everything when I moved. So I bought the Bosch 18 volt one.
Yeah.
It looks very similar in form factor to the Merca, as in it's low. As the other ones seem like they take the kind of palm sander and then just stick a battery on the back of it, and they look like, I remember your Makita one, your blue.
Yeah, I hated that sander.
It looks so uncomfortable.
Yeah.
But I think DeWalt do it like that. I think Milwaukee have it like that. As the Bosch have gone for a totally different shape, which is really comfortable to use.
Oh, yeah, I can see that. Does it? Because I've always found with battery-operated sanders, they really eat through batteries quickly. Does the Bosch?
Not noticed it whatsoever. No? I don't think I've ever started with a fresh battery and had to change a battery on a project.
Oh, right.
But then if you're sanding down, refinishing kitchen countertops, it's probably a different thing. Yeah. Bosch sent me a planer. I used that for the first time yesterday. That was annoying, actually, because I didn't film it because I was furious with myself. And then I should have filmed that. It would have been a great bit to the video. Making the door, I went to close the door and it was just a bit too tight.
Right.
And you just need to taper
the kind of leading edge. Yeah.
The leading edge. Mm. And I was like, oh, should I just plane it hung in place? No, I've only put a couple of screws in. I'll take it off, get the brand new planer out the box, couple of passes, perfect. But I didn't film any of that. And then I'm like, why am I not showing that I've messed up and I'm fixing it? This is YouTube gold.
It's tricky though, isn't it? Because the feedback that I get is always, we love that you show mistakes. But the truth is, I only show mistakes if they're either interesting or funny, or if somebody can learn something from them. Mm. Some of the mistakes that I make really don't tick any of those boxes, so I don't show those because they're just not interesting. Do you know what I mean? You have to pick and choose, don't you?
You do have to pick and choose.
And also, I've had those occasions as well where I'm so frustrated with myself that I just want to get it done, and it's there's no way I've got the composure to film this. I just want to get it done.
I was absolutely in that, and then as soon as I'd made one pass with the planer, and I've only used an electric planer once in my life before, and that's when building a shed for a friend, and he had one. I'm these are so easy to use and do such a good job. Not even thinking of table saws at the moment. Yeah, I'm happy with my Bosch. I like that I can pack it away, and I like that it's battery.
That's another advantage of this, the Lumberjack over the Axminster as well. It's so manoeuvrable. It comes with its own built-in wheelbase, and because it's not as big as the Axminster, it's just less cumbersome to move around. The problem with my Axminster is that it comes with this, also from Axminster, wheelbase thing that has 2 swivel casters and 2 straight casters. To get it to where you want it, it's like 8-point turn to try and get it to where you want it to be. Whereas this, you just 4 swivel casters, move it, it's done.
Wow. YouTube don't do a poll, do they? Like on Instagram. That would be good.
Maybe I could do that. Like I say, it's that difficult decision that I could almost just toss a coin or just let someone else decide. So maybe I'll just put it to a poll.
Yeah.
So talking about battery tools, have you ever used a chainsaw? Not necessarily a battery one, but a chainsaw just in general.
Oh, yeah, I've used a chainsaw.
Yeah. How did you find it? Because I've always been really intimidated by them, but I used one for the first time last week and actually found it not to be as scary as I thought.
Yeah, I never liked it. I remember this is back when I lived in Hampshire and chopping up some wood for firewood, and I just had the garage door open, and I was just even stood under the open garage door because it was drizzling.
Yeah.
And even that made the fumes kind of bad. So I hate the noise, I hate the fumes. And then I packed it away for 6 months, and you go to start it again and it won't start, and you got to clean and I hate all that. So I really hate petrol tools. I love battery tools that you just press the button or pull the trigger and they work. I feel with the petrol stuff, you've got to do the maintenance. If I had a battery one, I would use my chainsaw in the workshop to do stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know, if you had like a bit of beam and you needed to cut it in half, you could just do it hanging over your workbench, couldn't you?
Yeah, you could do, yeah.
You wouldn't do that in a million years in a petrol one because your workshop would be full of exhaust fumes within seconds.
Yeah.
So I think they're a different beast.
Oh, yeah, I've never used a petrol one, so yeah.
Oh, you've never used a petrol one?
No.
Oh, right. You've got a battery one, have you?
Yeah, I've got the Milwaukee battery one, which I used last week just to... I basically saw somebody was getting rid of several small trees on Facebook Marketplace, and we're starting to run a bit low on firewood, and I thought, well, if I get that, chop it up, some of that is going to be all right for next year, and the rest of it probably the following year. So I picked it up, had a car full of trees, and then chopped it all up.
Oh, that's great. What batteries does this take?
It takes the M18.
1 or 2?
Just one.
Wow, that's great.
I can't remember whether I was using the high output batteries for it or not. I don't think I was. I think I was just using the regular batteries, and it didn't really eat through the batteries that badly. In contrast, though, yesterday I was using one of those cut-off saws to cut through concrete.
Right.
And that takes one M18 battery as well, and man, does that eat through batteries.
Mm-hmm.
I was using 12 amp batteries. It's got like a light on the front for when the motor is when you're putting strain on the motor, it lights up to tell you. So really the trick when you're cutting through concrete is just to be really patient and not allow that light to come on, because as soon as it does, the batteries overheat and then you have to go and get another one. I am curious as to why everyone's gone down the 36 and 40 volt route, whereas Milwaukee haven't. I'm sure there's a good reason, but
Bosch haven't either.
Haven't they?
No.
Interesting. So they're doing everything on 18 volts as well.
Yeah.
Whereas Makita, Hikoki, DeWalt have got their flex volt as well. Haven't they?
That's clever system though. I think that you can use. You can use it on your table saw, and then you can plug it into drill as well, because it detects which voltage is needed and works on both. Yeah,
that's how the Hikoki multi-volt works as well.
Yeah, that's good.
It's really good. Yeah.
But what's the point of staying with a brand if you've got to have 2 different battery systems?
Exactly.
After the crafty little makers review of that battery thing, what was it called?
Badapter.
I might get the Ryobi chainsaw.
Oh yeah.
And use my Bosch batteries, because I imagine bare tool is pretty cheap.
You've just reminded me of a comment that I meant to bring up that was left on one of our videos about the Badapters. I think this is our third conversation about the Badapters. The first time we were a bit dubious about them. The second time we'd just seen Ben from Crafty Little Makers video, and we were thinking, oh, actually, they seem very low risk. But then we got a comment from somebody saying, this is from Ian Nelson, I've used one in the past and I'm convinced it has damaged 2 DeWalt batteries whilst using them in Ryobi cordless glue guns. Using the adapter rakes away the safety cutouts, as they only have 2 connectors and DeWalt batteries have 5 slots that make the connections. I believe it is because it was used on a high power output tool, hot glue gun, and it cannot detect when to shut down and often depletes battery, causing them to then be unchargeable. So I just thought I'd read that out, mainly because we don't want to say Badapters are good or bad. We don't really know, but the truth is out there. Do your own research.
And glue gun would be one of the applications you was interested in.
It would be, yeah. That's the only tool really that I would need it for at the moment. One thing I miss about the Makita charger, though, is that it plays a little tune when the batteries are fully charged, which is, I don't know, I quite like it.
Hello, Matt here. It takes us quite a lot of time to prepare and produce each episode of this podcast, and we'd like to keep putting it out for free. If you enjoy the podcast and you'd like to help, support and shape future episodes, you can find a link to our Patreon page in the show notes, or just search online for Workshop Banter Patreon. Thank you, and now back to the podcast.
So in the last episode, we talked quite a lot about workshop clothing, and I'm surprised at how many comments we got about various clothing things. So it seemed like quite a popular topic, which is quite interesting. First thing to mention is that I bought some braces on your recommendation.
Wow.
And I love them.
Oh, do you?
I feel really supported.
You are supported, Keith.
I'm far less conscious of whether my bum is hanging out and things like that, and it just feels comfortable.
Well, I think I can speak for your entire audience that we're very grateful.
No, I'm a braces convert, and obviously if you have them under a hoodie or whatever, nobody sees you wearing them either.
Yeah.
So yeah, it works great.
This is probably too much information, but the only downside is when you want to go to the bathroom.
Yes.
And you've got to take them all off. So I know you've just spent some money, but if you look up truckers' braces...
Oh, you're going to tell me I've bought the wrong ones now.
Well, no, I like the normal ones. If anyone's going to see them, I like the normal ones. But truckers' braces don't have the bit at the back. They just have the side ones. You can unclip them from under your clothing to take your trousers off.
Nice.
And you don't have to load all your clothes in. But if you ever try to undo your braces... normal ones, you unclip the back bit and it pings halfway up your back and you'll never get it back on. I don't know what I'm going to do in the summer when it's t-shirt weather.
Yeah.
I don't want to look too much like a redneck just in like a t-shirt and braces. But then I feel it's less of a problem.
Could you have them under a t-shirt though, or would that be really uncomfortable?
I don't know if it'd be uncomfortable. I feel hygiene-wise, then if you're getting hot, I'd want to wash my braces and then the
That's
metal clips going through the washing machine. I don't know. Maybe I just have to get some vests. That's even worse if I just wear a vest and wear a shirt. Or try and be a cool hipster and just wear them over a shirt. What were people's comments on clothing?
Comment from Craig Peel and Neil Smith recommending Giacomo for t-shirts. So I went on their website and had a look, and they do all of their t-shirts. There's a drop-down box and you can select regular or long. Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. I haven't bought any yet, but I definitely will do.
Yeah, M&S definitely have that as an option on some of them as well.
That's great.
It solves the problem, but it's also for warmth as well. You don't want your t-shirts to come untucked because then you get a draft up your back. But I find the braces really help. My t-shirt never comes untucked when I'm wearing braces.
See, my t-shirts are so frustratingly short. Even when wearing braces, sometimes I'll get it come out of the back.
Oh, really?
Yeah, really annoying. Well, I think what we've proved just by having this discussion, I mean, there's two of us on this podcast. We've both got this same problem. There's two people that have commented on our podcast with the same recommendations.
Well, I guess work brand manufacturers are very much like tool manufacturers. They're designed by people who don't actually use the stuff.
Yeah.
They want to make it look all cool, but we just want longer t-shirts.
It's not too much to ask, is it?
Yeah, well, maybe we should start a fashion podcast.
Or a line of clothing.
Workshop Banter clothing.
Extra long t-shirts. So my recommendation this week is from Jeremy Schmidt. He made 2 very long videos that are completely nerding out on designing and making his kind of ultimate workshop drawer storage units. I mean, it's over an hour long in terms of watching the 2 videos. I think they're each 30 minutes. But there was just one part of the video that made my jaw drop to the floor, which was when he pulled out a drawer from this unit, put it on his table saw and used it as a sled.
Wow.
A crosscut sled. And I just thought, that is so good. I love that. They're long videos, but there's some really interesting stuff in there. If you want to nerd out over drawer design, I don't think there's going to be a better video out there. And I love drawers as well. I'm a real drawer person. I know, I think it's something you mentioned before, or somebody said that.
Yeah, Adam Savage says drawers are where tools go to die.
That's right. I'm a hard disagree with that. I love drawers. How do you feel about drawers? Or should we talk about this next time? Because we're going to be talking about storage, aren't we?
We are going to talk about storage.
So what have you been watching?
ISHTANI Furniture.
Oh, yes, I'm familiar with that. Ishitani, is it, or something? Ishitani, yeah.
We apologise. He's just amazingly talented. No speaking in the videos, just the sound of the tools. A mix of hand tools and machines. All the machines are old-ish Japanese machines, the things you've never seen before. He was using some clamps in this. It's making a solid wood small shelf. And these clamps I've never seen before. Some of the machines are a bit terrifying. I think he's got one of those machines that is a planer, but not with spinny knives. It planes more like a hand plane. So you feed it in and it just takes one shaving.
Really? That
Have you seen
cool.
Have you seen those? I don't know how they work, but they're amazing.
Wow.
I look at his videos and think I will never be even half as good as him. Beautiful workshop. Has a little fluffy white dog, a wood burner. I mean, he's just living the dream.
Lovely.
Thank you for listening. You can find Keith on YouTube by searching for Rag N Bone Brown and me by searching for Badger Workshop. We have a Patreon page if you'd like to help support us in making future episodes of the podcast. Link to that in the show notes. And we have a Workshop Banter Instagram and Facebook page if you'd like to get in touch, which is @Workshop Banter, all one word.